everybody, this is Jan. Welcome to the homestead, and of course, welcome to my channel. Glad to have you along today. It is another gorgeous sunny day here in central Michigan, zone 5B. For those who wonder what zone I am in zone 5B. So today is a wonderful day. If you saw my previous video, you saw I had some surprises that I had for you that I was working on in the greenhouse. Well, today is another video of surprises from the greenhouse. My husband did some awesome stuff for me today, and I'm doing some other awesome stuff today. So follow me along right here on Garden Jen's Journey. Alright, so before we get too far into the video about what I'm doing today, I'm going to show you what my husband did for me today. Alright, so from this shot here, this view, maybe you can see what's different in my greenhouse if you've been following me along. If not, I will tell you. My husband just installed these platforms here, these benches for me in my greenhouse this morning. So I have this one here on this side. It's an 8-foot long bench. And then over on this side is a 4-foot long bench. And you can see I have my pots and stuff that I had in here on top of the bench so they can get some good sunlight. I still have my trees in here. And my lettuce and stuff and whatever. And then it is tall enough where I can actually slide my buckets of soil underneath when I am done with them. But there's great storage space where I can store my large pots when not in use under here. I'm so excited that he was able to do this for me. And then of course we have my heater that I was telling you guys about in my last video. This is a oil-filled heater, radiator, and I got the oil-filled one because it's supposed to be very good at producing a good stable heat that's not too hot. Those ceramic heaters can get quite warm. So we have this one, and I'm going to move it when I'm done with what I'm doing today. It's not going to be so close to the plastic there, because we definitely don't want to melt our plastic in the greenhouse. But I did get my thermostat today, so I'm gonna show you what that looks like here in just a minute. Okay, so I got my thermostat on off switcheroo thingamabobber right here. Just came in the mail today. I'm so excited. So, like I had notated in the previous video, the heater has its own thermostat in it that when it gets to a certain temperature, it automatically turns itself on or off. But you kind of have to guess what the temperature is, because it doesn't say, you know, whether it's 30, 40, 50. There's no temperatures written on it. It's just a high or low. And sometimes those thermostats don't work the best either. So I got this thermostat here. Got it off of Amazon. It's got great reviews for exactly what I'm using it for. Plus you can use this if you have reptiles or other things that you need to be able to keep control of the exact temperature. And I will put a link in the description box below so you can find this easily. But what this is going to do is it's going to keep track of the ambient temperature in my greenhouse. It's got a temperature probe right here, and actually has a suction cup to stick it to a wall or like a window or something like that. But I'm actually going to attach it to the frame here of the greenhouse. And so it keeps track of the ambient temperature of whatever you're trying to keep warm. Or if you're trying to keep it on the cool side, you can do that as well. You know, it can hook up to a fan, a vent, whatever. But it has this digital display here where you can plug in what your temperature range is that you want it to be. And then you plug in your appliance down here. And of course you plug this in to your wall. So I'm going to set this for 50 degrees. That way when it starts getting cold at night, when it starts getting below 50, this will kick the heater on. And I'm going to have the heater actually turned on to full heat, full blast, as high as the temperature goes on it. This will be my control for how warm it actually gets in the greenhouse. So we're going to try this and see if we can keep the ambient temperature in the greenhouse overnight around 45 to 50 degrees. I do have tomatoes and eggplants and peppers that are inside that I'm growing for the farmer's market, which is why I'm growing them indoors. That I want to be able to get them out of my house because I don't have room in my house. And bring them out here into the greenhouse where they have more room. There's much more light, more natural light. It will help them grow better. But with having freezing temperatures overnight, those crops would not survive out here, which is why I got this. So I'm going to try this tonight and tomorrow, see if we can get the temperature to stay above at least 45 overnight. And if so, I can finally bring the tomatoes and peppers out, which would be awesome because I have other plants I need to start for the farmer's market as well. So if you've been following me for a while, you know I typically do winter sowing. I've been doing winter sowing. This will be going on either the 8th or the 9th year. I always lose track of when exactly I started. So I grow most of my crops using the winter sowing method. And of course I have a whole playlist on tutorials of how I winter sow, and I teach you how to winter sow and everything else. So behind me here, you can probably see I have lots of jugs. I've only got, I think I've got 40 jugs hanging here right now. And then I think I have like another 50 or 60 hanging up in the garage. I will have to go see. But anyways, today is finally the day. I was hoping to start on March 1st, you know, start the new month and just start getting winter sowing. But I wasn't able to do that because my health was just not having it. But let me tell you, this beautiful sunshine and the warmer temperatures have really helped with my health. It's amazing how much a beautiful sunny day with temperatures where you can actually go outside and get that fresh air really helps with health issues. So today is the day. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing today. Alright, so I have my winter jugs here ready to go. I'm going to move these out of the way because they don't need to be here. Alright, so I have my handy dandy melting tool here. This is a just a soldering iron, and I use it all the time to put holes in my jugs. It works a lot faster than me, to me. I don't need to use a drill. I hate using drills if I don't have to use them. And since I'm in a well-ventilated space, the soldering iron works good for me. So we have our jugs ready to go. I have the holes drilled in them. Of course, they're cut in half. And I've got the little hinge there. So, I already started putting soil in them. Alright. There we go. I'm going to actually water these down a little bit because the soil is completely dry. So I want to make sure that I water it down before we go any further. And one thing you might notice is I have these on a tote lid. That way I can reclaim any extra water and reuse it. I use rainwater as much as possible. And in the winter time, it's hard to get rainwater until things start melting. So try not to waste it and try to reclaim what I don't use. All right, we're just gonna pack the soil down here. Try to get the air pockets out. Just like when you're planting in a pot. Now make sure you have a good amount of soil, but not a lot of air pockets. You need that soil. And a good rule of thumb is to have at least 3 inches, 4 if you can, of soil. Because your sprouts are going to be in here. Your seedlings are going to be in here for a long time. And so they need that amount of soil to be able to grow those roots. All right. And we're just going to pack that soil down, get the air pockets out. All right, good to go. Now, I already have the seeds that I'm working with today. These are all cold crops. And they're not all the ones that I'm doing. I have to go get my other seeds eventually. But these are the ones that we're working with right now. And I have already pre-printed my labels on my label maker. You can, of course, use a paint pen and label your jugs and things like that. Paint pens work wonderfully. I've used them for many years. But for me, the label maker just works so much better and faster. And I can actually read the labels. I can't read my own writing sometimes, so. But yeah, so I have the labels. Now I'm going to get my label, plant label tag things. Oops. All right. So I use these labels. I get them in bulk on Amazon. And I'll put a link in the description box to everything that I order off Amazon to do my jugs. Because I order a lot of stuff off Amazon. I'm really happy with the products I've been getting for the last 4 years or so. And so I'll put them all in the description box below. So you can try them out for yourself if you would like. Alright, so let's see, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to do some borage. I just found out this past winter, watching garden videos, getting ready to start this year's garden, and I learned some things that I did not know. I do a lot of companion planting, which means I plant plants together that are beneficial to each other. And usually it's herbs paired with a vegetable or a fruit, because the herb repels insects that like to damage that fruit or vegetable. And so that's what I've always done. But you know, you have to be open-minded to learning something new every year. This past winter, I learned that borage is good to plant with your squash. And I don't know how I missed that after all these years. So I just dumped quite a few borage seeds in here, and you notice I'm not covering them. I'm just pushing them down there into the soil. But borage is supposed to repel the squash bug and the squash vine borer. And how many of you guys deal with those two problematic pests that just decimate your squash? I almost gave up on growing squash because, again, last year they ruined my plants before I could get anything from them. And I do organic gardening, so I try not to use any type of pesticide or anything. Even if it's organic, I really try not to use any type of pesticide. I do occasionally use the, I'm trying to think of what it's called now. I just slipped my mind. Anyways, I use this stuff for Japanese beetles. Oh, neem oil. I use neem oil for the Japanese beetles. And then if my plants start getting some disease, I will use the copper fungicide. And I also use the BT, which fights stuff like the squash vine borer and other bugs like that. But again, you know, it's such a pain. If I can try to prevent them, an ounce of prevention is worth more than an ounce of trying to treat the problem later, if you know what I'm saying. So, we're growing some borage to put next to my squash plants. Because I already have borage in this garden here where the greenhouse is, but not in where I'm going to be growing my squash. So we got the borage there. And then I'm also going to put the label on the outside of the jug. So, alright. So we have borage. Borage. So, oops. Alright. Let's see, what else do we got? We have our parsley. Who doesn't love parsley? Fresh parsley. Wonderful stuff. So yeah, so I'm just going to sprinkle parsley in. Now with my herbs and lettuces and things like that, I just sprinkle them in. I really don't worry about plant spacing and yada yada yada. I just put them in there. And they will grow just fine because they are a small plant as far as their actual footprint. It's a small plant. I can do this. Alright, so we're going to take off the old label, put on the new label. So there's the parsley. And then I'll tape these up in just a minute. But I try to do this as I do the plants so I don't forget what they are. Because there's been a couple years that I was like, oh, I'll put the labels in last. And I was like, what was that? So, yeah. Okay, so we got our parsley done. Oh, yes. Our dazzling blue kale. I love this stuff. I actually still have some in pots. If you have been watching my videos lately and have seen the pots of kale in my greenhouse, this is exactly what it is that I've kept over the winter. But we are growing a lot more kale this year for myself as well as for the farmer's market. So we're putting that in there. So when I first started winter sowing, I did my first year when I first tested this out. I think I did like 30 jugs. That was my first year. My second year, because I had such success with it, I did over 200 because I also was growing seedlings for the farmer's market. And I think the next year after that I did 300. And then the following year I cut back just because I did not have the time or energy to do that many jugs. We had a lot going on that year. I've had a rough couple of years, so some years I have not done as much as I've wanted to. But it still worked out in the end. Alright, so we have our kale done. And I think I was going to do 2 jugs. Let's see. I'll know by how many labels I have. Nope, I was just doing 1 jug. So let's see. We will do our Swiss chard next. And I will drop my seeds on the floor next. Alright. So, yeah. With the chard, I'm going to press it down into the soil just because the seeds are a little bit bigger. Just to get them seeded in there. But that's all. I don't worry about covering them up or anything. Alright. And we are doing the Barrique chard, which is basically your regular green chard. But I also have an orange chard. And I really like the orange. The orange is really nice. It's really pretty. And of course, orange also adds another type of vitamin to your diet as well. So you're supposed to eat the rainbow. And I'm not talking about the fruity flavors of Skittles. But I'm talking about the wonderful variety of fruits and vegetables. Supposed to eat a rainbow because they all work together to give you the balanced nutrition. Alright, so there is our Barrique chard. Ta-da! Okay, now I will pick up my seeds. So here is the orange chard. It's called Oriole. So, really, really like it. Really, really like it. Now you can get a variety pack. It's called like the rainbow chard or something like that. And it has all the colors in it. It's got your pink, yellow, orange, and red. You can get it that way. I think it's called 5-beat Swiss chard, and depending on where you buy it from. But for me, I grow the green, and then I find the orange is really good. The yellow tends to be very thin and not the best quality. Sometimes it rots really quickly. So for me, I just do the orange and the green. All right. Orange chard. Got these stupid bugs that are hatching. They're crawling all over me because, hey, I must be good looking or good smelling or something. My husband says they're earwigs, but I'm not sure if they are or not. They're just annoying because they're crawling all over me. Alright, so there's that Swiss chard. And then, last but not least, at least for this video, let's see, we are going to do our carrots. Because some people ask me, how many seeds do you put in things? By the way, I do have a video. I'll put a link up above in the iCard and down below as well. So we are doing the red cord chantenay carrot today. And yeah, I just take the seeds and I sprinkle them right over the top like that. Just like so. No worrying about plant spacing or any of that stuff. I just sprinkle. And then with carrots and stuff, I do what's called clump planting. And I do have a video on how I plant carrots and things like that. And I will put that up in the iCard and also in the description box. But these are very, very, very easy to work with. Alright, one thing I want to mention is something new I did this year with this weird shaped jug. Because not all the jugs that you get are nice and flat, like this kale blue here. but some are just a pain in the butt. Oops. Alright, so there's the carrot. Alright, so see how my kale here, it's flat. All the sides are flat. Okay? With the carrot here, you notice we have a concave spot, which is a pain to cut and to tape if you would to go right across the middle. It's just a pain. So what I did instead is I went up and around. So this is still a flat area to tape across. And so that's how I'm solving this problem here, because again, I've tried cutting across and then just funky taping it, and it's just a pain in the butt. Sometimes the tape holds, sometimes it doesn't. So we just made it where we can go straight right here. Alright, so these are all the ones I just have done now. I'm going to tape them up and then I'll bring you back here in a minute. Alright, so all my jugs are taped up. And you can see on this carrot one here, I went up and around. And then the other ones are just straight across. So I'm going to take these bad boys and go set them outside. And we're going to do some more. But I'm not going to show you how I do more, because I pretty much showed you everything there is here. And if you need more information, please go ahead and watch the tutorials that give you a full explanation on how to do this process, what to do, what not to do to have the best success. I mean, you can do this however you want, but it doesn't mean you're going to have a very good success with that. So please check out the other winter sewing videos for information. So I'm going to go ahead and put these outside. Alright, so these are the jugs that I just did. You can see that I have them sitting on pallets right now. You can indeed put them directly on the ground, even if it's covered in snow. But right here, there's a lot of stuff buried under the snow. So I just want to make sure that they're sitting in a good spot. And I have a lot more garden space that I'm going to be filling up with these jugs as we get going. And I want to try to keep them grouped together because, like I said, I have quite a few jugs that I have to get done. And I'm going to be doing my cold weather crops, which I'm going to keep generally right here so I can keep an eye on them. And then as I get going, I will do the warm weather crops, which will be a little bit further out there, probably where the cart is right now. They'll be sitting over there in that area. Just again, so I can keep an eye on how things are, because these are going to start germinating first. And I want to make sure that they stay pretty hydrated. And when it's time to plant, I know exactly which jugs to grab, because they're all right here. Alright, so that wraps up today's video about what I'm doing in the greenhouse. And I hope you found it exciting, because there's lots of new stuff going on as the new gardening season is kicking off here in Central Michigan. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends who may be benefited from what I have shared in this video. And if you haven't already, please make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Love to have you along on this journey. I will keep you updated on some various things that I showed you today, including how that digital thermostat timer thing works or does not work with my greenhouse, and just some other things like the winter sowing and whatever. I will keep you guys updated. So make sure you click the subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell. That way when a new video is uploaded, you will be ready to watch it. Again, thank you for being with me today. I hope wherever you are, you're wonderfully blessed. So until next time, everybody, bye-bye.